Hey, what's up everybody? This is 8-Bit Flashback, and today I'll be building a mini Dreamcast with the Dreamcase made by Retroflag, designed for the Raspberry Pi 5. Alright, let's go ahead and open this up and see what's inside. So we got some parts here for it, and the case itself, along with some instructions. Looks like we got a heatsink here with a screwdriver and a bunch of screws. And the instructions, it looks like these are pretty simple, so hopefully this is pretty easy to assemble. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at the case. So this looks and feels really nice, but I'm not the biggest fan of this Dreamcase logo, but I can swap that out with something else later on. And it looks like the lid does open, so you can store some MicroSD cards inside here. So I do like that this opens, but I think it'd be a lot cooler if it had a functional micro SD card slot inside here for the Raspberry Pi 5. Located on the top of the case is the power button, a LED light that should glow orange, the Dreamcase logo, and the open button. And that Dreamcase logo does seem to have the same font and coloring as the original Dreamcast logo. Then on the front we have a Retroflag logo along with two USB ports. Then located on the back is ports for the power, HDMI, and ventilation. Then located on the right side right here is where the microSD card inserts for the Raspberry Pi 5. And you'll want to be careful not to insert the microSD card until this is fully assembled. And located on the side of the case is an access panel that gives you access to a couple more USB ports and an Ethernet port, that is once the Raspberry Pi 5 is installed, which we're going to do right now. So the new Raspberry Pi 5 has a Broadcom quad-core ARM Cortex-A76 processor, which reaches speeds up to 2.4 GHz, making it up to 3 times faster than the previous generations. And this particular model has 4 GB of RAM, which is plenty for retro gaming. So I will start with installing some heatsink pads. So one goes right here. The next one goes right here in the corner. And the last one right here. Now this is ready to install the heatsink itself, which goes on top of these, in this position right here. Then it secures with 2 small screws from the bottom side right here. And you'll want to be really careful when you're tightening all these screws not to over tighten anything, because you don't want to cause any damage to the Raspberry Pi 5. Now I will go ahead and unplug this USB cable from the top of the Dreamcase. Then plug the other end of this into the Raspberry Pi 5 right here. Then put the Raspberry Pi 5 in position in the bottom of the Dreamcase. Then secure it with 2 screws right here. Then this connection on the top side of the case can be plugged into the GPIO pins on the Raspberry Pi 5 located right here. And you'll want to be careful when you're making these connections not to press too hard and make sure everything's lined up correctly so you don't bend any pins when you're pushing these in position. Then this other end of the USB cable can be plugged back into the top half of the Dreamcase. Then this plug right here, which is connected to the fan on the top side of the case, can be plugged into this port right here on the Raspberry Pi 5. And now the bottom and top of the case can be pressed together and secured with 6 screws from the bottom side. And again, you want to make sure not to over tighten any of these, you just want to get these snug. And now I'll go ahead and put this access cover back on because I will not need these ports for this project. Now let's do some side-by-side comparisons with the original Dreamcast. And as you can see here, it looks to be about at half scale. And one thing I did notice is the opening of the lid on the original Dreamcast is much smoother. That opens really nice. And here's the front, so the biggest difference here is there's 2 controller ports versus 4. And if we take a look here, we can see on the original Dreamcast is the access for the 56K modem, which does look similar to the access panel on the right side of this mini Dreamcast, which gives you the access to the Ethernet port and USB ports. And here's a look at the back of the consoles, and as you can see they do have some similarities, but the ports are located in different positions. And here's a quick comparison with a 3D printed Dreamcast I made a while back, and as you can see they look pretty close to each other. And here's a comparison with my micro Dreamcast, which also has a lid that opens. But inside here, I do have some little games that load with NFC tags and an NFC reader, which is connected to an older Raspberry Pi. And this is a mod I might try doing with this Dreamcase at a later point in the future. I think that'd be really cool if this had some games that could actually load inside this. Now let's go ahead and power this up, and you can see the LED light up here in the center. And as far as the software goes, I'm running a modified version of Retropie with a custom startup and theme. So this Emulation Station theme is actually a mini Super Nintendo theme designed by Ruckage that I have modified to match the Dreamcast a little bit better. And as you can see here, I've already added around 10 games that have been pre-scraped to add pictures and info for each game. Now let's test the power button for turning off the console, and it seems to be working as it should. As far as the controller goes, unfortunately there is no USB Dreamcast Lite controller that I'm aware of, so instead I'll be using this Retrobit Sega Saturn controller to play some games. Now it's time to test some games, and I will start off with Dead or Alive 2. So to test these games, I'll be using the REDREAM emulator, which seems to be working pretty well with most of these games. But unfortunately I could not get the frame counter to work, so I could show you how fast the games are running. But in my opinion, I feel that most of these games are running at full speed, but some of the games do have some emulation issues, which I'll discuss as I play them. And as far as the emulation goes with this game, it seems to be running really well, and I haven't noticed any issues. Okay, next game up is Dynamite Cop, and the emulation with this game also seems to be pretty solid. I really haven't noticed anything wrong, and this is actually a pretty fun game to play. If you haven't tried it, you should give it a go.
Yeah! Go, move it!
The REDREAM emulator also features an in-game menu with a lot of nice features and options you can play with, such as save states. You can save the game at any point and load it later on.
Don't kill me!
Next up is Mortal Kombat Gold, which is a remake of Mortal Kombat 4. And this was the first time we've seen the Mortal Kombat characters become 3D. And this is yet another game that seems to be running really well with this emulator, and everything seems to be running at full speed.
Round 2. Fight! Finish him! Wins. Fatality.
Alright, next game is San Francisco Rush 2049. And the emulation with this game seems to be pretty decent, but I have noticed some issues with the audio having a little bit of distortion, and I don't think this game's running at quite full speed. Alright, we're on to the next game, which is Sonic Adventure. This game seems to be running pretty smooth and at full speed.
Not bad.
Now let's try Sonic Adventure 2, and this game seems to be running at close to full speed, but I have noticed some issues while controlling the Sonic character. He seems to have some shakiness to him, and it's kinda hard to notice, but once you notice it, it becomes a little bit distracting. But this only seems to be an issue when you're walking around, not riding objects such as this board.
I'll make it through. Got no other options, only one thing to do.
barely made it.
Now let's try some Soul Calibur, which is one of my favorite fighting games for the Dreamcast. So this game seems to be running at full speed, but it does have some graphical issues. If you take a look at Maxie's legs, they start to turn into these weird rubber band looking legs, and it looks pretty funny.
Versus Ivy. Battle 1, fight! Mitsurugi versus Bulldog. Battle 1, fight! This victory strengthened the soul of Mitsurugi. You win!
Now let's move on to Speed Devils Online Racing. And the emulation for this game seems to be doing really well. The only issue I had was some controller issues. I had to go inside the settings and play with some of the controller settings to get the controller to respond so I could play the game.
Have the courage to bet and the drive to win, and you shall be my brother.
Next up is Spider-Man, and this game seems to be running really smooth. And this is actually a pretty fun game to play. This is a great port for the Dreamcast, and I recommend picking this up if you don't already have it in your collection. Or at least add it to your virtual collection.
Oh, thank you, Spider-Man. The robbers have been taken care of, but what can I do about the bomb? Think, Spidey, think. Not this time, guys. Jonah, I have shot to the bank robbery.
Parker, shut up and dial 911. Scorpion's here, and you have to...
I'm already at full health.
Listen, Gargan, it's a new millennium. Lots of high-tech. There may be some way we can get you out of that suit.
You put me in this suit. Now I'm going to make you pay.
Get over it, Gargan.
You ruined my life, so now I'll end yours.
Leave him alone, Chuckles.
Butt out, webhead. Spider-Man? I asked for the police, and I get this? Spider-Man!
There you are.
I don't know what you're trying to pull by saving my life, but it won't work.
Oh, you're just too clever for me, JJ.
There he is, officers! The man behind the Science Expo heist! Shoot him now! Shoot him!
JJ, you are out of the wheel. I mean it this time.
Hold it, Spider-Man. I don't want to believe that you pulled off the heist today, but I've got to make sure.
Daredevil, I haven't got time to explain.
Just tell me your side of it. I'll know if you're lying.
How am I supposed to know you're the real Daredevil?
What?
Listen, it's true. A Spider-Man made off with Octavius' new invention, but not the Spider-Man, not me. Somebody's framed me. Why? I don't know yet. And if New York's finest catch me, it may be too late.
Well, then you'd better get going. NYPD is coming fast.
That's it? You believe me?
I don't have to believe you. I know you aren't lying.
But how?
Let's just say you've got your superpowers, and I've got mine. I'll spread the word about your innocence. Not that it'll help with the cops. Good luck.
Since when have I had any? Uh-oh.
And last up is Virtua Fighter 3TB. And this is another game that has some solid emulation.
Fight one. Ready, go!
Oh, yeah!
Fight five. Ready, go!
Namu.
Fight one. Ready, go! KO!
Even good guys, bro.
KO!
Namu.
Fight three. Ready, go! Fight five. Ready, go!
So here's my thoughts on this mini Dreamcast. The Raspberry Pi 5 is very capable of providing some great emulation for a lot of different consoles, and the emulation for Dreamcast is pretty good, with only a small percentage of the games having any issues, out of the ones that I tested. The Dreamcase looks great, and if I was to replace the logos, it would look like an official Sega product. I like that the lid opens, but I wish I had some sort of extra feature inside, like an SD card slot to add extra games. And I also wish I had 4 controller ports in the front, just like the original Dreamcast did. Maybe 4 USB-C ports would be better. As far as the price goes, the case runs about $35, and the Raspberry Pi 5 runs at about $65. So you're looking at a $100 investment to build a mini Dreamcast like this, which is a little pricey, but if you want a functional mini Dreamcast that works good, I think it's worth it. Okay, it's now time for me to go. If you liked this video, if you could, hit that like button and subscribe. And have yourself a great day, and I'll see you next time.